Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kenny, head of community at Everything Cannabis. Now, for today's video, I want to make sure I keep it as short as I possibly can because the very first video was fairly lengthy. It was lengthy because I needed to set the foundation of this channel so that you guys know what to expect. So if you have time, please go back and listen to it. It's divided into segments. So if there are segments you don't want to listen to, simply fast forward and listen to the ones you do want to. With that being said, for today's video, we are going to talk about the education pathway. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to flip to my screen share and I will share with you guys the points we are going to cover in the upcoming videos of this channel so that we can continue to get down the right path in regards to education and conversations about cannabis. All right, guys, so before we get into the education pathway here, I just want to take a few moments to give you guys a little bit more of a backstory as to who I am. I've already shared this in the very first video, but I think it's important to share it again with you guys because, again, this is a brand new channel. You may not even watch the first video, so I want to make sure I share it here. All right. So I'm currently an entrepreneur working in the medical cannabis space in Australia, and we work with doctors, pharmacies, and patients to help give equitable access of cannabis to the people who need it most. Now, in regards to myself, I'm currently located in Vancouver, Canada, and I've been a recreational user of cannabis for 10 plus years now. And over the last 10 years of consuming cannabis, not once have I ever asked myself how cannabis is actually helping me. And if I'm asking that question, it means there's a gap in my knowledge and a gap in my education when it comes to cannabis. And if there's a gap in education for me, how many other people are out there who are uneducated about this plant? So that's the gap we see in the industry. That's the gap we see in society today. And that's the gap we want to bridge through Everything Cannabis by providing you guys with the right education about cannabis so that you can go out there and make your own decision when it comes to the consumption of this magical plant. Last but not least, I just want to make sure I put a disclaimer out there before I start, okay? Everything we share on this channel is for educational purposes only. I repeat, everything we share on this channel is for educational purposes only. We're here to share information only. So if you plan on consuming cannabis as a way to treat your medical conditions, we highly advise you go speak to your general practitioner, go speak to your doctor, and they will guide you in the right direction. So with that being said, let's get started in the education pathway here. So what you see in front of you today is a list of questions that I currently have about cannabis. And when I started coming up with this list, I asked myself, Kenny, what are the things you need to learn first before you can truly understand the science and the biology of cannabis? Because without understanding these points here, you're not going to set the right foundation for yourself. So this is the approach we are going to take. The next few videos you guys watch on this channel will be dedicated to answering these questions. And after we've done our job of answering these questions and sharing that information with you guys, we'll then get into the science and the biology of cannabis itself. That's when we'll start inviting doctors, researchers, and cannabis experts onto this channel so that they can share their knowledge, expertise, and findings when it comes to cannabis. So I'll start from top to bottom. I'll make sure to go through this really quick for you guys, but it's very straightforward, okay? The very first question that I want to answer has to do with the common misconceptions and stigma about cannabis. What are the misconceptions and stigma about cannabis? Because I know for myself, I've been afraid of speaking publicly about my love for cannabis. Cannabis has helped me greatly, but I'm still fearful about speaking out loud about cannabis. Next question here: when, why, and how did cannabis become illegal? I don't even know when that started. And if I can understand that, I'll be able to work within those guidelines and the regulations that government has set and actually learn how to shift the laws and the regulations with my team. Next point here: what is the Marijuana Tax Act and what is the war on drugs all about? How did cannabis, something that has been used for thousands and thousands of years, how did it become something that is deemed evil? You know, I mentioned that in the very first video. How did cannabis get such a bad rep? And if we can understand that, and then we can dig deep and dig back into the past and understand the history of cannabis, it will actually help us see how cannabis can evolve and change in the near future. The following points here: what are the legalities of cannabis around the world? Being in North America, where cannabis is legal, if I go to another country, it can be completely illegal. And if I consume cannabis there, there's a chance I could go to jail or face a lot of fines in that country and maybe uh, be held, by the police station. Last but not least, the few points here that I think is really important is understanding the difference between recreational and medical and which is better for society. So, what are the pros and cons of recreational cannabis? What are the pros and cons of medical cannabis? Once we've answered all these questions, as I mentioned, we will then get into the next phase. And once we get there, I will do another video of the education pathway to give you guys the next steps. But for now, the next few videos of this channel will consist of videos answering these questions. It may seem boring in the beginning, but I personally believe it's the foundation of it all. If we can truly understand this foundation here, everything else will be a lot more easy. Everything else will be a lot more simple and a lot more fun and engaging. So that's all I got for you guys today. This is the education pathway. This is what you can expect over the next few videos. Once we've gone through these videos, then we get to the exciting part where I get to speak to doctors, I get to speak to researchers, cannabis experts. We'll also be visiting some cannabis farms here in Canada so that you guys can see how the process is like when it comes to growing, cultivating, harvesting, and producing quality cannabis products. So take care, guys, and I will catch you in the next video.